Hello, cryptocurrency fans. This is your host, CryptoTrader, and welcome to CryptoTrader's Room. And as a lot of you know, CryptoTrader's Room is a place where we eat, drink, sleep, dream, trade, and invest in cryptocurrencies. And before we get started, I just want to put out a little disclaimer out there. And that disclaimer is that I am not a licensed financial advisor, and that what I do talk about on this live stream is to only be used as educational purposes only. If you are looking for advice on your trades, then you definitely want to consult a licensed financial advisor, which I am not. So with that being said, roll hot, crypto CR, welcome. I appreciate you guys joining. And if you haven't done so already, if you're a new viewer, welcome. And don't forget to click on that subscribe button so you're notified every time a video is uploaded, as well as anytime I do a kind of spur of the moment live stream, if anything is happening in the cryptocurrency world. Also sign up for our mailing list. And when you do sign up for our mailing list, there is a link at the bottom of this video, or you can just go to www.cryptotradersroom.com. And when you do sign up for our mailing list, we will give you access to our general chat room. And that's a great hangout spot if you wanted to continue this conversation after the live stream ends. We do have a good amount of people that have joined that general chat room. Now, it's not the actual traders chat room that we have, and we do have a good amount of people in that traders chat room that are basically sharing ideas about different trading techniques and things like that. But we will give you access to that, just the general chat room. It's almost like a water cooler chat room where you're able to continue the conversation after this live stream ends. So I highly recommend doing that. And later on, as time goes on, we will give you the ability to be able to upgrade your general chat room to the actual traders chat room. So definitely look out for information on that. So hope everyone's doing well. Thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate it. Duke, welcome, sir. It's great to see you on this live stream, My Crypto Journey. I hope everybody's doing well. Crypto CR, you're from Costa Rica. Dude, that is awesome. I've been meaning to visit Costa Rica one of these days. My wife has been bugging me for a trip out there. So one of these days. But I just got to figure out, is the Pacific side better or the Caribbean side? So yeah, definitely let me know what side is better to go to. I'm actually from the States, from Pennsylvania. Rohat, you're from India. Welcome. What is good with ETH today? Yeah, we'll definitely cover that. I was very impressed to see the move that it made. You're visiting Los Angeles today, Duke? Nice, dude. That's awesome. Definitely have fun. LA's a great time. I was out there a couple years ago doing the whole West Coast tour, and LA is definitely a fun place to be. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that are going on in the cryptocurrency world. And of course, market cap 79 billion, 24-hour volume 4.2 billion. Of course, BTC dominance is 45.5%. So it's huge dominance that Bitcoin does have over all the other cryptocurrencies. But as the cryptocurrencies market cap grows, it'll definitely that dominance will definitely decrease. Especially Ripple. I can definitely see Ripple for some apparent reason really overtaking Bitcoin in the sense of market cap. They did lower the float, so 38.2 billion float out there. So I mean, really, if she gets to 50 cents, she's going to overtake Bitcoin, and especially if Bitcoin kind of stays stagnant and stays in this range and doesn't have that upward movement that we're all looking for. That $4,000 or $5,000 that really it should belong at, but it just needs a steady, healthy climb to it, and not go parabolic and then have a violent crash. So little ticks to the upside is really what we need with little minor corrections to get it up to that 5,000. But BTC does have a huge dominance on the overall market cap. But some of the popular cryptocurrencies, of course, ETH is the biggest winner today, over 10%. Zcash has definitely impressed me. I mean, even though it's only up 1% today, but it's 230 bucks. Compared to where it was. So I mean, I remember looking at Zcash in the 18, 19, $20 range, and it's definitely overtaken Dash in the sense of price. But let's see what else is moving today. Of course, Dash is up a little bit. Made is up a little bit, but everything else is really in the red, to be honest with you. So we're going to see exactly what some of these cryptocurrencies do as hopefully Bitcoin turns around, and some of these cryptocurrencies definitely follow the path of BTC. And I'm hoping you guys can hear me. I'm hoping the audio is good and there aren't any issues. But ETC, I still do have a position in that from the tons of ETC that I bought. But slowly but surely, I've been kind of locking in profit and taking some of that off the table. But we are at $15.90, which really isn't bad at all. Considering it dipped down to under 10 bucks when we had that violent crash with some of the popular cryptocurrencies, I'm very excited that it's actually not still hovered in that $10 range, because that would be a little scary. So for it to get back up to that $16 range is very impressive. And if you got in at $10, I mean, that's 60% profit. So I mean, that's pretty good. So I hope you guys were able to catch some of these dips and be able to capitalize off of them. Of course, I didn't capitalize off of them. I was kind of waiting for a bigger dip, even though that was a big dip that we had. I was waiting for something a little bigger. I think I was waiting for Ethereum Classic to get down to that $8 range. But Ethereum for really, I mean, it went down to 115 bucks, and for it to really get up to what was the high today, about 135, a little under 130. I'm sorry, a little under 235 bucks. I mean, that's 100% profit. With just within a matter of a couple of days. And really, Ethereum is the only one that has made that type of move after the crash that we had, with BTC still kind of lagging, especially on Bitfinex 2130. Coinbase 2200. So really, it's having a hard time getting back up to that all-time high of 2800 that it had. But we'll see as time goes on if people are going to support this level of price and actually move it up. But I think she might stay stagnant for a good amount of time. But let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum and analyze it a little bit. But I'm very impressed with it. And I'm glad I still have a little bit of a position. Of course, I sold 30 of my 50 different price points. I sold it 10 at 185, and then I sold another 10 at 200, and then I sold another 10 at 217. And then I think I have an order to sell another 10 at 250, if it gets to that price point. But for it to get up to 35, I can easily see it hitting a 250 price point that I'm looking for. And then I'll just keep 10, basically just to kind of see what it does and see if it actually hits a higher price. But in my opinion, I don't see Ethereum Classic, really dipping down. I'm sorry, Ethereum dipping down below $100. To be honest with you, I mean, there's just so much hype, so much stuff going on with Ethereum that and I've said this in the past, a long time ago, that Ethereum really should be at least minimum a quarter of the price of BTC. It really should, and I think it will get there at some point, but only time will tell. But with this type of move that it's making, I mean, it's very impressive, and I am impressed with this move. And these are the same resistance and same support lines that I had on Monday, so nothing was changed on that. Let's go ahead and zoom out to maybe a half-hour chart, and I'll get to the comments too. So I do apologize for not getting to those comments right now. But of course, we had that really nice dip, a great opportunity for buying. $115 from getting up to that 217, and that's why and I'll tell you why I sold at 185 and I sold at 200 and then I sold at 217. That's because that's where I saw the resistance. I wanted to lock in some profit in case it did have that dip when it hit that resistance. So that 185 was right up here when I sold, and of course it did hit that 185. Let me see if I can put a circle there so you guys will be able to see it a little better. The watch cooperates with me. No, that's not. So that 185 was basically right up here, and it did exactly what I expected it to do. It hit the 185, and then it dipped. I mean, it wasn't a big dip, but it still dipped to 162. So I locked in the profits there. If it would have dipped further, I would have probably added on, but it didn't dip, as far as I thought it would. But I was happy to lock in those profits at 185, even though, yes, I could have held on and I could have probably made a little bit of money. I went to bed feeling a little better, knowing that I'd locked in profit just in case it does have a nice crazy dip back to that 115 or close to that 115 level. But then once it did touch 162, it made a nice move to the upside. And of course, it got to close to 200. I think it was what was it, 190, 198.48, the high. So it didn't touch that $200 level, and of course it came down just a little bit. And then of course buyers bought it up, moved it right up, executed my $200 price point, and it broke through it, and that's a nice thing. So in order for this to have been kind of pushed back down, there wouldn't have been a big candle like this here. So it really broke through that resistance of 200 with a vengeance, and it wasn't just a minor little break where it was going to get pulled right back down. I mean, that's a pretty nice candle. Where volume was pretty good at probably looks like 15,000 in volume. So they definitely pushed it up, and then of course it took that nice upward move, executed at 200, and then I sold another 10 at 217, which got to 218, and then got pulled back down, which did exactly it hit that resistance. It went up a little above that resistance to 218, but I knew 217 was going to be a resistance, and that's based on right up here. That 217 was the high that it hit before it came crashing down. So when I do trade these, I look at support and resistance, and when I'm looking to sell, it's really, I'm going to lock in a little bit at the first resistance, and then lock in a little more at the second resistance. If it does get up to the second resistance, but at least I've locked in a little bit of the profit. And that's exactly what it did. It hit 218. I executed at 217, and she came down. She pulled back to 191 from that 218. And then, of course, we had a nice rally that happened from 11 o'clock last night when it kind of dipped to that 191 up to 235. My sell order was 250, and of course, it didn't get there. So we're going to see exactly what this does. But it is looking good for another run. It is gearing up. It's not downtrending. So I'm very excited to see what Ethereum is going to do, and hopefully it'll get up to that 250 price point. And then 300 is really what I'm looking to cash everything out at. So if it does hit 250, I'll lock in I'll sell another 10. And then I think at 299.99, I'll be looking to get rid of the last 10 that I have. And then kind of hope for a pullback. It is going to pull back. If it does go up so fast, so quick, we are going to have a pullback. We are going to have a correction. And if I'm completely out of it, that's the best time for me to kind of look at getting into Ethereum again. Because Ethereum does have a lot of things working for it and its benefits. So I can definitely see this thing hitting 300, 350, and possibly getting up to 500, which would be just about a quarter of BTC's price value. But let me see if I can get to some of these comments. But I definitely want to thank everybody for joining. And if you haven't done so already, please click on that subscribe button, as well as the post notification, so you're notified every time a video is uploaded, or I schedule a live stream, or if I end up doing spur of the moment live stream, usually if something's crazy is happening, I might just get on real quick. So if you don't have that post notification button, hit, then you might not be notified in time that I'm scheduling a live stream. Let me see some of these comments. Victor, welcome. Gene, welcome. Jonathan, welcome. Gene is asking, let's see. I'm sorry, Victor's asking, what exchange do I use? I have tons of different exchanges that I use. The main ones that I really use are GDAX, which is run by Coinbase, Bitfinex, because they do allow USD trading, as well as Gemini, which I really haven't used Gemini in a long time. It's really, you're only limited to Ethereum and Bitcoin. But I do like their funds availability where I can make a deposit and it's instantly available right away within a matter of seconds. And really, as long as I make a deposit before 5 p.m. of 500, I can make another deposit at 500, after 5 p.m. So basically, I can deposit $1,000 within a matter of really minutes and have that $1,000 instantly to use. So I do like Gemini. But I also use, I have Poloniex. I also have Bittrex. So I think, the more exchanges you have, the better you're going to be because things happen. Exchanges kind of, they have denial of service attacks. They go down. So you definitely want to be able to capitalize off, price action, price movement. When one exchange is down, to be able to hop onto a different exchange that you have access to and be able to trade on that and not be kind of left in the dark, not being able to trade because GDAX went down or Poloniex went down, whatever it might be. So the way I look at it is, the more exchanges that you have access to, the better. And plus, that kind of helps you spread your money out a little bit too, so that majority of your money is not on one exchange. So if something does happen, majority of your funds are not stuck at one exchange. You're not able to do anything. But those are the main exchanges that I do use. Hello from New Caledona. Welcome. Kofifi. I don't know what that means, Jonathan. Yeah, Duke. And I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's the reason for the move on Ethereum. Like you said, basically, the three biggest exchanges in China are allowing Ethereum trading. So that's definitely the move for it, and it's definitely going to give a lot of people the opportunity to do arbitrage. And let's just say the price is higher on these Chinese exchanges, and let's just say I have access to those Chinese exchanges where I have an account, and it's selling for 250, $300, and Coinbase has it for 250. Of course, I'm going to buy on Coinbase. I'm going to move it over to the other exchange and sell it real quick, do a little bit of arbitrage, lock in some of the profits. Which then what's going to happen is basically there isn't going to be much selling that's happening on Coinbase or GDAX because everybody's just buying on GDAX and move it over. So the other exchange that people are arbitraging to could have a little bit of volatility because they're basically just selling from that exchange. They're not buying. Whereas on Coinbase or GDAX, considering people are just only buying and not selling, then the price will definitely go a lot higher on GDAX. 3 months price target. I say $500. I've said it before. It should be a quarter price value of BTC minimum. So I can definitely see this thing, getting up to 500. Now it's not going to get up to 500 without any major corrections. We are going to have those little minor corrections as well as major corrections. But yeah, I firmly believe, $500 is a good price point for it. There you go, Jonathan. You're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah, $500 easily. It should. Now, please do not take that as I'm sorry, do not take that as an investment advice to buy Ethereum right now, just because I personally, in my opinion, think it can get up to $500. So please do not do that. You definitely got to weigh out your risk and reward ratio, and know what you're willing to risk. So do not buy it because we think it's going to get up to $500. I mean, it could easily get down to 120 right from where it is now. Um, More likely it's not going to, but you just never know with cryptocurrencies. Matt, very good question, man. And I've done this in the past. I mean, I try to do it at every video. Plot out the support and resistance. Now I plotted out the support and resistance for Ethereum on Monday. So the support and resistance that I have currently on my screen is the resistance and support from Monday. But we can take a look at really any cryptocurrency that you're interested in, and as long as I have access to it in my charting system, I'll gladly walk you step by step on how to do that, how to plot out the support and resistance. I mean, it's really easy to plot it out, to be honest with you. I mean, I can just look at a chart and basically just look at it for maybe 2 minutes and tell you, basically blur out exactly where the support and resistance are going to be, without really drawing out any lines. But that's probably one of the easiest things to figure out, is support and resistance. It's not that hard at all. But you really can't, the support and resistance is not guaranteed, to be honest with you. It's not a crystal ball indicating, okay, this is exactly what it's going to touch. In order to really have a good support and resistance, you got to look at the volume that's coming in, as well as the order book, and see where buyers and sellers are stacked up. That so I mean, if we would have looked at really the order book, when it got up to 217, we would have probably seen a lot of sellers stacked up, and that would have showed that that was a strong resistance. So you really got to look at where the buyers and the sellers are stacked up to kind of also determine that the points that you plotted out for the support and resistance have a high probable rate of being the support and resistance. But yeah, what I'm going to do one of these days, Matt, is I'll do a separate video, not a live stream, but just a separate video when I have time, kind of talking about support and resistance and trend lines and things like that. So definitely, keep an eye out for that. I'm getting a lot of comments, so I'm having a hard time keeping up with them. I do apologize. Yeah, $500. I think we can all live with $500. It should get there, and it'll take time for it to get there, but it will. It's just a matter of time. So Kofifi was what Donald Trump drunkenly tweeted last night. I thought they took him off Twitter, but I guess he's back with a vengeance. What about year end? Man, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you, what I think year end. Um, but really, I mean, I would say that it's that $500 price point. I really can't say that's going to get up to 1,000. But by year end, within 3 months to the year end, it should definitely get up close to that 300, up to that $500 range. Should. That's always a magic word. It should. But is it going to? Who knows? I mean, we don't have a crystal ball to determine how high it's gonna get up to. And I think if we did, if we all knew, we'd be piling in. We'd be selling everything that we have to get into Ethereum at 230, because we have that crystal ball that's going to tell us, oh, it's getting up to 500. I mean, no one knows. But in my opinion, I think it's undervalued. Same thing with Ethereum Classic. It's undervalued. And I said that when I was buying it at $4.30, and then I bought it at $7, I was like, there's no way, there's no reason that Ethereum Classic should be under $10 when Ethereum is just skyrocketing to the moon, basically. And I knew that pump was happening, and I mentioned it. I said, the pump's going to happen. It's going to happen, and that's why I was holding. And that pump did happen up to $22. Yeah, the SEC is always messing things up, but what can you do? Yeah, and I think that's just a way for them to kind of curb cryptocurrency growth. So ETH is currently trading, Duke. I didn't know it was trading right now. 269. That's a pretty good price for it. Pretty good price. So yeah, arbitrage wouldn't be bad at all, to be honest with you. I mean, that's almost $40 in profit, depending where you're buying it. If you buy it on Bitfinex, you can definitely get it cheaper. And I think on Bitfinex, it's what is the price? It's definitely less than GDAX. So 223 on Bitfinex, 230 on Coinbase. But yeah, that's a perfect opportunity for arbitrage. As long as the transfer goes through in a timely manner. The one time I did a temp arbitrage, or I did transfer it ETC, but no, actually, no, it wasn't ETC, it was Litecoin. It took 4.5 hours for the transfer to go through. So that was definitely an arbitrage failure because the price definitely fluctuated. I mean, within 4.5. I mean, you definitely want that transfer to go through within at least minimum 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes to be able to capitalize on the price difference. ECS, welcome, buddy. Good morning. Dr. Claw, welcome. Matt, not a problem, man. Anytime. Logan, welcome, sir. Yeah, I firmly believe that $500 is inside Duke. I definitely do. I mean, look at the move that it's made from its low. I mean, what cryptocurrency has gone up 100% in a matter of a couple of days after that free fall that we had? So it's definitely a positive sign for it to really trend up to that $500 price range. But like I said, we are going to have pullbacks. So if it hits 300, we are going to have a pullback, and it could pull back to 250 before consolidating and then making another leg up to the upside. What do I think about Dash? Dash has been lagging, but I mean, if you can pick up Dash in the $80 range, I think it's a great opportunity. But it's definitely lagging to Zcash. You're interested in basic assignment tokens, Kofi? Yeah, I haven't really heard too much about it. You're thinking 650 to 700 year end. Whew, that's a huge increase from its current price. I can definitely see a 100% increase from its current price now, and that's why I said that 500 bucks. 100% increase is really nothing for these cryptocurrencies. I mean, when they move, they can really move, and bots can really move them. But yeah, 650, 700. Whew, that would have to be some major mofo that's happening where, basically every major news outlet is covering Ethereum like they covered BTC and caused BTC to skyrocket from that $2,000 we were waiting for it to hit to 2,800. If that's the case, and people are suffering from FOMO, fear of missing out because Ethereum is taking off close to that $500 range, then yeah, the 650, 700 could be a possibility. But there has to be that demand there, and there has to be that FOMO. There has to be new investors coming in that are unsuspected of what's really happening, and just go into these cryptocurrencies or go into Ethereum kind of blind and just start buying. That's exactly what happened with BTC. And that's why I got up to that 2,800 bucks. Ethereum is going to take over BTC. It could. I think it all depends on what sense. If it's in the sense of market cap, I think Ripple will get there before Ethereum gets there. I mean, let's take a look at the overall, well, not overall market cap, but individual market cap. We got Ethereum at 92 million. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. No, it's not 92 million. We got Ethereum at 21 billion market cap, and that's huge. 21 billion 357 million. Of course, Bitcoin at 36 million. I'm sorry, 36 billion. Ripple at 8 billion. But I mean, if Ripple gets up to 50 cents, I mean, that's huge. That's 19 billion. If it gets to a dollar, that's 38 billion. So we'll see exactly what Ripple does, but considering it's backed by the banks could definitely move this thing if they wanted to. I think they're just basically stacking as much as they can before they run it up. NIM 1.7 billion, Ethereum Classic 1.6 billion, Litecoin 1.2, and then of course everything else is under a billion. Do I think F might be in a bubble? Uh, I mean, the higher it gets, the more the probability of it being in a bubble. But I think, it's not having that parabolic move. Yes, it did move 100% in a couple of days. But, it's not a parabolic move to say, okay, you know what, this is a bubble right now. It just moved up way too fast, way too high. I mean, from this 27th till today, this is a very healthy move, and that's exactly what we needed. And for it to get up to that all-time high and really break the all-time high of 217 is very impressive for it. But I mean, if we just go parabolic and we just go straight up without really any sideways movement, any type of corrections, then yes, I would say that it could be in a bubble. But as of right now, I don't think it's Ethereum is in a bubble. Yeah, I agree, Logan. I mean, Bitcoin is of course the top dog. But I mean, long term, I mean, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, I mean, they're definitely going to take over. Yeah, I feel as though Litecoin should be at 50 bucks. It should not really have gotten rejected from that $38 all-time high, a little over 38 bucks. But it should definitely be at 50 bucks. But it definitely has a lot of crazy up and down swings, which I like. And those are the type of trades that I'd like to get into. When I see those swings, going from 19 to almost 30, dipping that back down to 24, getting up to 35. I mean, that's huge. Those are pretty significant gains. Yeah, I mean, that bubble could happen anytime, but like I said, I mean, I think, if she goes parabolic and goes straight up to the moon, yeah, there'll be a lot of people looking to get out, which will then cause a nice crash. Yeah, especially, I mean, if you can get in cheap, on a nice crazy dip. But the thing is, I mean, these dips are happening, especially in the East Coast where I live. I mean, they're happening when I'm sleeping. So that's why I mean, I put in a low ball offer. I think I had a low ball offer for Litecoin at like 19 bucks, up to 19.11. I put it for, which was the low that it touched. In hopes that it gets there. If it didn't get there, that's all right. But if I got there, at least I know that I had something executed. So it doesn't hurt to put in those low ball offers. But yeah, I mean, these corrections are happening, when I'm sleeping and when people in the East Coast are sleeping. Yeah, I'm kind of losing my place in these comments, so I do apologize if I missed any of your comments. Yeah, 650 would be great, Duke. Definitely. But yeah, I mean, she's got to break out. She's got to, break some humps and still maintain that upward move, but in a gradual way and not in a parabolic way. I mean, like I said, if she does go up too fast, too quick, it's only going to come down. I'm surprised, people that bought probably in the 115-ish, 120, even 125, 130, even if they bought on the 130, I mean, they're up basically 100 bucks that they haven't cashed out yet. I think that they're waiting for that bigger move, especially with some of the exchanges in China allowing the trade of Ethereum. They're waiting for a bigger move, and that bigger move is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I mean, we could probably 11:55 before midnight, get a crazy spike up, and then by the time I wake up at 7 a.m., it could be dipping. Yeah, ECS. That's definitely a good opinion. And ECS is basically saying, even though Ethereum could exceed BTC in value, it won't replace BTC as the crypto of choice for people who want a decentralized currency. No, exactly. Yeah, I don't think it'll replace it at all. But with Ethereum, I mean, a lot of these ICOs are taking Ethereums instead of BTC, so people have to buy Ethereum in order to get into these ICOs, and that's where I think the growth for Ethereum is definitely going to help out. Is a lot of these Ethereum-based tokens that are coming out only allowing Ethereum payments for the ICO. Yeah, and you're basically saying Ethereum is heavily backed by and represented by the current establishment. That's a big turnoff for some. Yeah, it could be a big turnoff for some. For me, it's not really. That just means that what, later on down the road, there's going to be volatility. There's going to be up and down swings, and that's kind of what I thrive on and kind of look forward to. If I'm at my computer and able to see that and be able to capitalize off of it and take a position. But yeah, for me, I can care less who it's backed by. That's just the probability of it actually having a nice upward move is more probable than it not being backed. But yeah, definitely want to thank you guys for joining. And if you haven't done so already, please click on that subscribe button. And if you find this information helpful, click on that thumbs up. Let's see, Jonathan, what you're saying. You think the BTC diehard fans act like it's a cult? Money moves the market, and clearly Ethereum is where the money is going. Yeah, right now, because considering BTC is not really moving up to that all-time high, people are piling into Ethereum. And I mean, it's got some great news. I mean, there's going to be exchanges that are offering it for trading, and that's just more volatility, more up and down swings, more opportunity for arbitrage. 270 to 290 on this run. I don't know, man. We'll see how she reacts at 250. The nice even number. We'll see what she does. I mean, she could hit 250 and then get up to 253, 254 possibly before having just a little correction. It can't just keep going up and up. It has to have a correction. Like Patrick said a couple days ago, it needs to breathe. Let's see. The market cap of the internet stock complex was 2.9 trillion at the peak, and base money in the U.S. was 600 billion back then. Now base money in the US is 3.78 trillion. That's huge. There's always fanatics in every camp. I think there's a lot of people out there that think they're maximalists, to be honest with you, on just about every cryptocurrency. Yeah, Logan. I mean, you can't go wrong with Ethereum and Bitcoin investing long term. I mean, you were a long term investor and early adopter, early investor in Ethereum and Bitcoin. I mean, I remember having that conversation with you. We bought it dirt cheap. So it's definitely looking good for you, man. Yeah, the Asian market right now, what time is it there? Let's see. I think it's 11 p.m. there. So I mean, if they're traders, they're up. Um, unless it was like 3 a.m. there, yeah, they could be sleeping. But yeah, as they wake up, if some of them are sleeping, this thing could really move. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. And but basically, what I'm hoping is that people are buying it from Coinbase or buying it from Bitfinex and actually arbitraging it to the Chinese exchanges to be able to sell at a higher price. It's really what I'm hoping, because then it's just going to fuel the fire to the upside, to that $300 that you're saying, Jonathan. I could definitely get there if there's just more buying and not selling going on. And I think eventually, that's exactly what's going to happen as the price stays low in the U.S. with the U.S. exchanges, especially with Coinbase or GDAX and Bitfinex. People are going to be looking to arbitrage it, especially, I mean, if it's 60, $70 more. I mean, you have 10 coins, that's $600 profit, as long as the transfer goes through in a timely manner. But for Ethereum, if you have 230 right now after hitting 234 and not really correcting, like, and I mean a healthy correction, where it would probably come down and test that, 185, possibly 191. That's kind of what I was looking forward to. So we'll see when she hits 250 if she will correct to that 200 or 191 range. Yeah, I don't think people are going to want to cash in at 270. I'm not cashing in at 270. I'm holding on. Let me take a look and see if I have any open orders in the book. I do. I have 10 to sell at 235, but I'm gonna cancel that. 250 is definitely in sight. and then I'll just hold on to the 10 to see what she does if she makes a move up to 300. But yeah, I'm going to stick to my plan and get rid of and sell 10 at 250. That was the plan that I had initially. But yeah, 270, that's definitely in sight. But I'm not going to risk it. 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. East Coast, man, that's the time I'm usually busy with my kids. So I'll have to keep an eye out on my phone to see exactly what might happen. Yeah, I think, I mean, it's definitely bullish for the overall market cap. It's been bullish for a while now as that market cap continues to grow and grow. And it's going to grow. I mean, it should definitely be, 100 billion total market cap, and it will get there. Yeah, I'm excited for the next 3 years. I really am for cryptocurrency. I mean, it's new. It's a baby. It's 8 years. Well, Bitcoin's 8 years old. So I mean, if we really just say, hey, the whole cryptocurrency market is 8 years old. I mean, it's a baby. It's only in second grade, possibly getting ready to go to third grade. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for some of these popular cryptocurrencies. Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin, Zcash, Dash possibly. I don't know what Dash is going to do. All right, I think I got to all the comments, and if I did miss any, I do apologize. But let me know if there's any cryptocurrencies that you guys want me to take a look at. But I am going to take a look at Litecoin because I'm looking to get a position in Litecoin. But I definitely need it to drop a little more. I don't feel comfortable buying it at this $24 range. I definitely want to see a dip. But let's go ahead and take a look at Litecoin on GDAX, and we'll probably have to zoom out to the 30-minute chart. David, welcome. Stratus, huh? Yeah, somebody asked me to buy it the other day. Someone was like, "Dude, you should buy it before it goes up to 20." I didn't look at it though, to be honest with you. Should you buy ETH or Siacoin? Welcome, Solo Runner. I really can't give you any recommendations on what to buy, buddy, and I do apologize. Like I said before, I'm not a licensed financial advisor. You really got to make that decision on what cryptocurrency to buy. I talk about what I'm interested in and what I might be buying and what price point I might be buying. So I really can't recommend what you should buy. Logan, thank you so much for that comment, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, and if you guys find this helpful, please, I mean, help me out. Help out Crypto Traders Room, and by clicking that thumbs up, like button, so that more people actually find this. And please share these videos, with your friends and families, anybody that's into cryptocurrency or looking to get into cryptocurrency, or somebody that's just interested in learning, some of the basic fundamentals of trading. Please, by all means, share this video, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. If you have Steemit, upvote this video or upload any videos that are loaded on there. So I do load the videos on there right after they finalize and are uploaded onto YouTube. But yeah, at the bottom of this link, you'll see a link or bottom of this video, you'll see a link for our Steemit, Twitter, Facebook account, as well as the link for our website. So please feel free to click on those links and sign up for our mailing list. We definitely want to have a community where you guys are able to interact with each other and have a one centralized place where you can log in anytime you want. It's 24/7. That general chat room, we definitely want that general chat room to grow. And as time goes on, we'll see, basically give you the chance to upgrade that general chat room to our traders chat room, which is basically where a good amount of the traders hang out and share some great information about trades that they might be getting into, or some of the technical and fundamental analysis, some of the information, the ins and outs of some of the cryptocurrency. So I mean, I've learned a lot from the people that are in that group because I mean I know trading, but I know basic information about some of these cryptocurrencies. And the guys that are in there have definitely taught me a lot. They do share a good amount of information, so it's definitely helpful. But I highly recommend joining our general chat room. It's just like I said before, it's just a general chat room, give you a community, give you a place to kind of hang out. When I'm not doing a live stream, so it's a great place to just kind of park yourself there and be able to talk to either new people that are getting into cryptocurrency, or some of the people might have already been in cryptocurrency and they just want a place to be able to hang out, and they want to kind of join a community. So I will make a point, if you're already part of our general chat room or our water cooler chat room, I will make a point today to spend an hour on that chat room. So if you are currently a member, definitely log on and interact with me. I'll definitely be able to answer some of your questions. Now, we won't get into details about trading aspects and things like that. That's more left for the actual trading room. But I will make myself available to you guys or ladies, whoever wants to get on that general chat room and just to be able to chat with me for a little bit. But I will make a point to get on there for an hour today. Steven, welcome, buddy. Thanks for that comment, man. And for the people really watching this video after the fact, Steven just basically indicated, hey, love your work, watching nearly every day. And my thoughts on Argar versus Gnosis, considering massive Gnosis, undistributed coins, and current market cap as far as considering this. I don't know, man. I really got to research it a little more, to be honest with you. I mean, I know trading. I really can't talk about the ins and outs and the tech behind some of these coins, but there are some great people in our chat room that are very knowledgeable. And like I said, I mean, I've learned a lot from these guys. So, the best thing to do is kind of join that general chat room that we have, and there'll be people out there to kind of know the ins and outs of some of these cryptocurrencies to be able to answer some of these questions for you. But I do like rep. I mean, I've said it, when I first started doing these live streams, I liked rep. I never got into it, and I think rep at that time we might have been like 354 bucks, and it's definitely made a nice move. So I definitely like rep. Thanks for that thumbs up, bud. I appreciate it. Yes, I agree with you. Cryptos right now are like the internet stock. Back in 1997. Hopefully, we don't get that 2000 bubble drop like it, with the .com bubble that we had, where everything just massively crashed, and hundreds of thousands of traders and investors lost tons of money. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get to that point. But yeah, this is new. It's like the internet, when the internet basically started, and us getting into this currently right now. I mean, we're early adopters, even though we're not that early in the sense of being there from day one. But 8 years is still young. It's not 8 years. It's not that long ago. So for us to get in now, I still consider ourselves somewhat early adopters in cryptocurrency. And I mean, imagine what's going to happen 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. I mean, look at where the internet has gone. Look at where a lot of these companies have gone. So it's a great opportunity to be able to get into cryptocurrency. You just got to really be careful and protect yourself. And there's a lot of manipulations that happen, and you got to be able to spot some of these manipulations. And the stock market is completely manipulated. And as people kind of discover this new market, they're going to be coming in to manipulate this market as well too. I mean, we've already seen it with robo algorithm trading, um, and possibly insider trading that's happening within exchanges. So there's going to be a lot of manipulation that happens, and you just got to kind of be prepared for it and be ready to protect yourself. Duke, you're back. Nice. Yeah, I mean, Duke, if alts are not performing well and Ethereum is performing, you made the right move. You see that Ethereum has the potential to get up a little higher because of some of the things that are going on. And if your alts are going down and you're still in the profit, yeah, I would have done the same thing too. I would have sold my alts and got into Ethereum. I don't know at what price point you got into Ethereum, but hopefully it was a good entry. Yeah, dude, Stefan, that's a great comment that you left. Getting into cryptos is definitely a marathon, basically buy and hold, rather than a sprint for people not advanced at day trading. Yeah, I don't really condone day trading, to be honest with you. If you're just getting started, I don't recommend just piling money into it. The market's not going anywhere, guys. The market will be there. It's 24/7. It's not going to die down. It's not going to go anywhere. There'll be definitely opportunities for you to get in. But just learn some of the basic fundamentals of trading before you start putting money into it. I tell some of the guys in the trading room, paper trade. Just make paper trade. Just basically, come up with a hypothetical number. Just say, what, I have 5,000 of fake money. All right, I have this 5,000 here. I'm going to split it up between these cryptocurrencies, and then write down exactly what cryptocurrency you bought at what price point, and how much you bought. And now you really got to be realistic, with your entry. You can't say, oh, I'm going to purchase 10,000 of these coins. Be realistic. Maybe say, all right, you know what, I'm going to purchase 50 Ethereums at this price point, and on this day, and then say, okay, you know what, this is a support, this is a resistance. I'm looking to basically get out of the resistance, and then if it gets up to that resistance, kind of execute that fake trade. And that's the best way to kind of get into a habit of getting in and getting out, locking in those profits, and not really getting in and hoping and wishing that it keeps going up higher and higher and higher. And yes, it might go up higher and higher, but more than likely then it's going to pull back, and you might either lose some of the profits that you made, or possibly lose some of the capitals that you invested in it. So if you're just kind of getting into day trading or trading in general, it doesn't necessarily have to be day trading. You can swing trade, you could hold for a couple of days, hold for a couple of weeks. But yeah, just paper trade and play the support and resistance and see how that works out for you. But yeah, there are a lot of people out there that were just like, all right, I got 2 grand, this is a new market, I'm going to start trading, and they have no clue at all about trading and finding a good entry, and then, finding a good exit. Yeah, I didn't hear about the gas price decreasing on Ethereum, but that's pretty good. You know what? That's Steven. I'm so glad you shared that. Blockfolio is a good mobile app to make a fake portfolio to see how you do, and that is great, because I know in the stock market, yeah, you can paper trade on a good amount of exchanges. They do allow that. They'll give you like $100,000 just to be paper trade and be able to kind of pick out some of the technical indicators and just to kind of learn from it. But I'm glad they do have something for cryptocurrency. So let me jot that down, because I'm sure I'm going to have somebody ask me what's the best way to paper trade. So Blockfolio. Yes, indeed, ECS. You said it perfectly. And for everybody, that might not know, ECS is a partner. We are partners in Crypto Traders Room, as well as Dylan. I don't think he's on today, and Henry. But you guys will see ECS Fusion on the chat, on the live stream. So, definitely show some respect to him, because he does have a lot of pull. So if he wants to kick you out of the chat, if he wants to kick you out of the live stream, because things are happening that shouldn't happen. I'm going to back him up 100% on that. So definitely, just show some respect to the people that are on here. That's all that I ask. And Logan has done a great job, and I will commend Logan. Logan has been with me since day one when I started the live stream. Actually, even prior to that, when I was just uploading videos on YouTube. And he's done exactly what ECS just said. If you're going to learn how to trade, just trade with a little amount. Don't put tons of money in it. And really don't look at the dollar amount. And I've said that to Logan before. I'm like, Logan, don't look at the dollar amount. I'm like, basically, you made 30%, 40% on this trade. Yeah, the dollar amount might not have been much, but look at the percentage. That's huge. So I mean, if somebody comes up to me and say, hey, I made 10 bucks on this trade, I'm going to say, well, what was your percentage gain? And they might come up and say, well, I made 25%. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. That's huge. Even though the 10 bucks might not be that much, 25% is huge. So I mean, if you end up putting in a little more capital as you get comfortable with your trades, that 25% profit in the sense of dollars is going to be a lot higher. But yeah, that's the best thing to do, is just start small. Maybe put in 10, 15 bucks and see how you do. If you end up losing it, it's only 10 to 15 bucks. It's not $3,000, $5,000. Because if you end up losing 3 to 5,000, that might be all the capital that you started with, and then that's going to discourage you to keep trading. You definitely want to survive the game. You don't want to give up your capital. And the only way to survive the game is by basically, finding a good entry, finding a good exit, sticking to your plan. You got to stick to your plan. When I first started trading the financial market, I didn't stick to my plan at all. I would, it would start to move up, and I'm like, all right, I just made 300 bucks. I'm like, you know what? I can make another 600. It's going to go up higher. And I would make that 600 bucks, but I wouldn't sell. And then I would get greedy and say, you know what? It's going to go up higher. It can hit 10 bucks. It's never going to get there. I've broken so many of my rules and lost a lot of my profit. Whereas, I started sticking to my rules, and that's why I sold at 185. I sold at 200, and then I sold at 217. Yeah, even though, it went up to 235. All right, so let's take a look at, I think I got to all the comments. Let's take a look at Litecoin. But like I said, I mean, Litecoin could definitely hit that $50 price point. And it probably would have hit it. You know, it would have probably broke all-time high before that big dump that we had. I mean, all-time high was what, 38? I think 38 and change was all-time high. $38.91. But I mean, looking at this chart, let me get rid of some of these lines that have drawn out. I mean, this is a beautiful chart, to be honest with you guys. I mean, of course, we have this crazy, and these are 2-hour candlesticks. So let me switch to an hour candlestick. Nope, looks like I got to look at the overall chart. I got to do 2 hours. But yeah, huge pump here. And I mean, you know, that should have been some sort of indicator. Whoa, you know, it went up that high. Something is happening. Something in the background that we don't know is happening, because it went from 22 bucks to 36 bucks. Retraced majority of it, and then, you know, came right back up with a vengeance to hit that 31.91. So, and it could have done that recently up here. You know, blew past that 38.91, but of course, you know, when BTC and everything else starts coming down, it came down with it as well too. But yeah, the entry that I'm really looking for is right around that $20 range. You know, if she can get to 20, that's really the good entry that I'm looking for, or possibly 21.51. I think, considering, you know, it's bounced off that level several times where it really didn't break down. But yeah, I don't think this thing should not have broken down below 20. But there was a lot of selling that was going on. So that 1911, you know, 1908, if you guys got to end at that price point, I mean, that's a great entry. I mean, you're catching a nice bottom. But yeah, I mean, I love seeing these up and down swings. And as a trader, I mean, not long-term investor. If you're a long-term investor, like I said before, you're probably not even looking at these charts. But as a day trader, I mean, you know, having these nice swings from 38.91 down to 20 bucks, getting back up to 35, getting back down to 19. I mean, these are the type of up and down swings that we kind of look for. And really, you can play these both ways, which, you know, I don't recommend shorting, but you could definitely play these both ways, especially if you're able to catch a top on a short position. You know, shorting at 38 bucks and then, you know, cashing out or covering that short position, you know, at the 25 would definitely net you money. You know, you're riding it up and then you're riding it back down. But it's just a dangerous game to play when you're shorting, because really it could turn against you and start going higher. And then the exchanges are going to basically liquidate that margin call. So you definitely want to be careful with shorting. Rocky Mountain, welcome. When I sell, what am I selling out to? Basically USD. And I've said this before in the past. I feel more comfortable, you know, selling into USD and knowing that the $1 that I have in that account is going to be $1 tomorrow when I wake up. Because really, the fear that I have is, let's just say hypothetically, you know, I go from, you know, from Bitcoin and I sell out of Bitcoin and I go to Litecoin. You know, I'm still in a trade. I'm still in an altcoin that possibly has the chance of going down. Yes, it could go up and that would be great, but it has a possibility of going down. So if I'm taking profit on Bitcoin and I'm moving over to Litecoin, I could give up the profit that I made from BTC easily. You know, late at night when things decide to dip. So when I do sell out of something, I'm mainly selling into USD, because, and that's, you know, with and that's why I use GDAX and Bitfinex, because they allow me to do that. And you know, you'll rarely see me trading. I mean, I'll look at Poloniex and I'll look at Bittrex, but you rarely will see me trading on that, because I can't trade to USD. Yeah, exactly. The fees are the cost of doing business, and I try to avoid the fees. I try to do limit orders, especially on GDAX, you know, so I don't have to pay the fee. But then sometimes, you know, my trade doesn't get executed, you know, so there are going to be times where, you know, if it's dropping heavily, I'll just do a quick market order and just pay the commission, because the upside tick is going to be, you know, massive, especially if you get a nice crazy dip. If you get a crazy dip, it's unless you overbid, it's going to be hard to get an entry in. You know, I mean, when this thing got to $19.08, I mean, if I would have put a bid in for $19.01, it would have never got executed. So, you know, as it's dipping and you kind of see the correction starting to happen, you know, it doesn't hurt to just click on that market buy order, get that trade executed. You got skin in the game. instead of putting in a 1901 or 1905 buy order and then it never gets executed and then the price just moves up. Rossman Design HD, welcome, buddy. It's great to see new people on this live stream, and I'm glad that you're learning a lot. So that's awesome. Kyle Post, where are you, Kyle Post? I see Kyle Post name on here, but Yashu Post, is that you, Kyle Post? Cool video. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you telling me to have a blessed day, blessed life. So thank you so much. Hopefully you're enjoying your day as well too. I don't know what's happening on Ethereum blockchain. You're indicating that it stopped. So I mean, if anybody knows what's happening on the Ethereum blockchain, please respond to Michael and let him know. There you go, Rocky Mountain. That's the best thing to do, man. You got your first taste. You're in for 500 bucks in BTC and holding for now and learning, and that's the best thing to do. You didn't put boatload of money into it. 500 bucks is very reasonable. So now, depending on what your entry was, you got probably what 0.25, anywhere in the range of 0.2 to 0.25. What do I think of Litecoin? I like Litecoin. If I can get a good entry, I would. And like I said, I mean, Litecoin should definitely have broken the $40 price point. 50, I can definitely see getting to 50. Now, I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's gonna get to 100, but 50 is very probable. Especially if she can get a nice upward move and get up close to that 35, 38 range. She's really, I mean, she's got a couple hurdles that she has to cross. She's got to get over the 29.53. We'll do some support and resistance in a little bit. 30.57. I mean, definitely got some hurdles that she has to cross before getting back up to that all-time high. But if she does get up to that all-time high, for this thing to really go up 20, 30% and hit $40, $50 is very doable. I don't like trading into other currencies. I forget who it was that asked me that question. What do I trade into when I get out of alts or when I get out of BTC? I don't really like going into other cryptocurrencies. I like the USD for some apparent reason. And like I said, I mean, it's just, when I wake up in the morning, I know that USD is there. And I know, if I get into an alt, it could fluctuate. If it goes up, that's great. But, it's not guaranteed that's going to go up. And I don't want to give up, the profits that I already locked in from getting out of some other trades just to get into something else that could be somewhat risky. That's going up in a few minutes, installing everything. Yeah, let me know what the price is. Yeah, Logan, you've definitely been rewarded with Bitcoin, man. Definitely. I wish I would have met you, back then. I mean, when I first purchased BTC, it was March of 2014 when it basically was dipping from that $1,000 or $1,100 price point. I was like, I'll buy 0.2. It was like 485 bucks. I was like, that's a good price to get in. And then what do you know? It dipped to basically like 165, and I was like, all right, well, I just lost my money, out of sight, out of mind. I'm not even gonna look at it. Um, until somebody mentioned in one of the chats that I was on, I was like, oh, I do have a BTC. I'm like, let me look at it, and it was like 750 bucks, 800. I was like, oh, I'm in the green now. This is great. Yeah, Kyle Post. Did I miss you, brother? Yeah, we'll need to chat one of these days. Yeah, I had a problem with LTC transferring. That was a transfer that took 4.5 hours from GDAX to Bitfinex. And I have my speculation as to why it took that long. And it was almost like the same reason why, when I was transferring Ethereum from Bitfinex to GDAX, GDAX basically got it, or Coinbase got it within a matter of 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, that's great, 5 minutes for that transfer. But then Coinbase didn't release it until for another 15 minutes. So they held on to it for 15 minutes. So my speculation on that is they were trading the coins that I transferred. That's exactly what they were doing. They were trading it for their advantage, and then after the 15 minutes of them trading it, they gave it back to me, and then I was able to trade it. But my speculation is they were trading my coins. But yeah, the 4.5 hours that it took to make that transfer was ridiculous, and it shouldn't take them that long. And I'm sure Bitfinex was just using those coins that I had for their own benefits. But yeah, as long as the transfer goes through fine and it goes through real quick, I think arbitrage is a great thing. I mean, I love it, but just trying to time it is can be a little stressful. Yeah, I'm not investing in that, but I'm sure there are a couple of people that are. Cool video. Love. Pound no homo. You bought at 27. Oh man, Litecoin at 27. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, now I would be a little worried if it was under 20 and it stayed under 20. I mean, it's 24.65. I don't know, depending on what exchange you bought it on. So, I mean, 27 isn't too bad, to be honest with you, considering what the price is currently right now. Is it going to get to that 27? Yeah. I think at 30 you might have some sort of a resistance. But we're going to plot out those support and resistance. I just want to make sure I get to the comments. Yeah, I like Ripple. If and I like Ripple if it gets down to my buy level that I'm looking to buy. I think like 0.1185 is what I'm looking to buy it at. I mean, if she can get down to 10, I think that's when the pump is going to start. Currently, right now, it's pretty stagnant at the 20 cents, 21 cents, something to that extent, whatever it's at. Let me take a look at Bitfinex real quick. Yeah, 20 cents, a little over 20 cents for it. I would definitely like to see this kind of dip back down. I mean, it did dip to that 11. What did it dip to? I see 14.45 is what it dipped to. But I would definitely like this thing in the 11-cent range, 10-cent range. Is it going to get there? I doubt it. But if we do have a major sell-off, yes, it could. Basically it went from 30, 32 down to almost 15. So that's a nice drop. So if we get a nice drop like that, then I will have a trade executed on Ripple. And I think I'm only putting in like 1,800 bucks on Ripple, something to that extent. It's not much at all. But yeah, Ripple can definitely be pumped, and I think as more banks are getting involved, they're definitely going to pump it. It's just a matter of when are they ready to pump it, and have they accumulated enough coins that they want to accumulate to be ready to pump it, and then when they do pump it, then they're going to be ready to dump it, and basically and take a huge profit and then buy back on the dip. But I think with Ripple we can definitely see some crazy up and down swings once banks really start to buy up Ripple. Yeah, Pivx was impressive. I mean, from that 27,000 satoshis that it hit, got up to 80,000 satoshis. I think it's hovering in this 75 satoshi range now. I'm still holding Ethereum Classic. You know that, Kyle. Yeah, I think we talked about Ethereum Classic when it was like $2. We're like, dude, it's a perfect opportunity to get in. I got in at 430. $2 would have been great, and then I bought more at 7, and then that, of course, that pump happened. Yeah, I think 50 is in sight. I really think so. Eventually, I mean, it's not going to get there overnight. It's not going to get there in one day. Um, but of course, I mean, there's a good amount of selling that's happening. A lot can change in 4 hours, man. Yes, you are absolutely right. I mean, it's the wild, wild west. IC76, welcome. Let's see what you're saying. It's been a great experience of a lifetime in this crypto space since 2013 with great caution and learning times. Yes, you gotta be cautious. Got to be cautious. Really, in anything that you're trading, it doesn't matter what it is. You got to be very cautious. But I mean, I wouldn't really look at the market cap, but I mean, them, for Ripple to go from 100 million coins available supply to 38 million or 38 billion is a huge decrease. And I think it's going to get pumped, but then in a couple of years when they start releasing those coins, what's going to happen? I mean, they're going to saturate the market for Ripple, and there's going to be more supply. So right now, I think with the supply and demand, as long as the demand is there and the supply is not, it's definitely going to have more of an upside move. But once they start really releasing more coins into the market, then there's going to be more supply than demand, and that's going to cause the price to drop. So I would really, if you're holding Ripple and Ripple really gets pumped, I mean, I would definitely be paying attention to when they're going to be releasing those coins. I don't know an exchange that you can buy Ripple with PayPal credit card. I really don't. If any of you guys know, please let Rossman Design HD know if he can buy Ripple with a PayPal credit card. Yeah, I stay away from PayPal. I've had issues with PayPal, so I try not to utilize PayPal at all. All right, I think I got to all the comments, and thank you so much for you guys joining. I do appreciate it. If you find this information helpful, please click on that like button, as well as subscribe, and click on that post notification so you're notified every time the video is uploaded or that a live stream has been scheduled. As well as stay connected with us on our website. It's a mailing list that you can sign up for, which then will give you access to our general chat room, and it's a great place to hang out with new people or people that have been in crypto space for a while. We're definitely going to turn that into a great community and give you an outlet, a place to kind of chit chat and hang out after this live stream ends. Also, check us out on Steemit, Twitter, Facebook, and definitely if you're on Steemit, help us out and upload our videos. But let's go ahead and plot out some support and resistance, and we're going to do that on Litecoin. Yeah, $20 is really what I'm looking at for me to take an entry. All right, so let's take a look at basically resistance. Where is it going to have majority of its resistance? And I don't just really look at, from the low that it made of 1908 to its current price now. I really have to look at the history and kind of go back to determine, what happened at a certain price point. Did it have a good support or was it rejected? So when I'm really scanning this and looking, I'm looking to see if, basically, after the 1908 price point and then prior to the crash, to determine, where might be a good resistance for it. And right now, I kind of see, the 26.99. It's got to get over that hurdle. So let's go ahead and draw a line there. And the reason why I picked that is because it came up from the 1908 and got rejected at that price point there. And the reason why it got rejected is because if we look really to the left, that's where it got rejected a little bit, where it attempted to really make to break out above it. So if we look at, let me draw a circle here. If we look at that there and that right here, that would indicate to me, it's going to have some sort of resistance, at that price point. Now it could hit it and completely break out, and that's great because then it has to be supported by volume. So as long as volume is there, when it gets to that price point, it'll definitely break it. But if volume dies down and more selling intensifies, then it's going to take a dip. And a lot of traders are probably looking at that and saying, okay, you know what, that's a resistance. I'm going to go ahead and lock in some of the profit that I have because I got in at $20 or whatever the price point might have been, where they'll take a little bit off the table. And that's what traders do, and I don't blame them for doing that. So that's kind of, let me take a look. That's the first area that we're basically looking at. And if we really look at it closer, to the right of the circle, it did hit that 26, let's just say $27 to make the math easy. It hit that $27, came down, it attempted again and got rejected. It came back down. It attempted again a little bit and got broken down. So that $27 is going to be a good resistance to see if it breaks out above it. And if it breaks out above it, then we're going to have a nice uptrend. And then second resistance is going to be, let's take a look and see where this thing has been. And I'll probably got to look at the 1 hour chart. So $30. So right around the range of 30 bucks is going to be the other resistance. And if she breaks out above 30 bucks, let's see what else. We might have to do a 2-hour chart. So, and reason why that $30 is very important is it may really kind of go back, to basically May 7th, where it did break out above that 27, above the 30, just for a little bit, and came crashing back down. So you can kind of tell there was a strong resistance at that price point, but then rallied and got really up and broke above. And if we look at this candlestick here, before it really broke out above that $30, as we can see with this candlestick here, the wick got right up to that $30. And then of course consolidated, it had a hard time breaking out above it. But then look at this candlestick with the volume that came in. I mean, the volume was over 100,000 on this candlestick here, and this candlestick here, and that actually caused it to break out above the $30 and maintain that $30 to get to 38.91. So that $30 is going to be key. And when she really did break down from that 38.91 and came down, she broke through what was basically the prior support became current. I'm sorry, the current resistance became support here. So when it came down, it attempted to break out above the 30 again and got rejected. I mean, as we can see, the little wick kind of broke out above it a little bit, but that's not really a major move, to be honest with you. And she kind of hugged that $30 real, basically to a T, to a line, but you just couldn't have that upward move. Volume was non-existing. I mean, if we look at volume down here at the bottom, I can't really draw a circle there. But volume was really non-existing. When it was hugging that $30 price point. Considering volume was non-existing, traders probably got nervous and said, "All right, it's not going to break out above 30. Let me lock in some of the profits I have," and they sold, and then caused a nice crash to happen. So that $30 will be the second resistance for it. After $30, really, we're looking at 32. We'll just say 32 to make the math easy. 32 bucks. And at 32 bucks, the reason why that's very important, so we kind of have to look at the history and see, okay, what would happen at that $32 price point? And of course, if we really look at it right around May 7th, that 32 was another resistance. It attempted to break out, got pushed back down, and it finally did break out above here. But of course, we got pushed back down more. So at this current level now, when we did have that nice free fall, and this is a 2-hour candlestick, so 2-hour price action on this crazy, ugly looking candle with a long wick. When it did break down and came back up, that $32, had a hard time breaking out above it. So if she does break out above, the first, second, third resistance, and really after that, we're looking at the $35 price point. And then if she does break the $35 price point or 35.88, then of course all-time high of 38.91, 39 bucks will definitely be in sight. So that's basically how I determine, by looking at the chart, where support and resistance is going to be, by looking at, currently the past 3 days, and then kind of going back and, looking at the history of its price action, price movement. And that's what these candlesticks really represent. They represent price action. They represent up and down movements. And I think somebody asked me the other day, what is a candlestick? And I mean, it would take me forever to explain it, but I'll explain it very quickly. So, on a red candlestick, basically, we have the high, which is at the top of the wick. We have the low, which is the bottom of the wick. We have the opening price, which is the top of the full body red candle. And then we have the closing price, which is the bottom of the full body red candle. So basically you got up to the top there, sellers really brought it down and brought it down below its closing price for the prior candle. Now, if we look at a green candle, it's going to be just a little different. You still have the high at the top of the wick, the low at the bottom of the wick. The opening price is going to be the bottom of the full body green candle, and then the closing price is the top full body of the closing candle. So you have basically the high, the low, the open, the close on a green candle, and then it's just a complete opposite on a red candle with the opening and closing price, where the opening price would be at the top, and then the closing price would be at the bottom on a red candle. That's kind of the short way of me explaining what a candlestick is. And I forget who it was that asked me. It might have been Lily. Lily, if you're on here, I think it might have been you that asked me that question, or Tracy. Might have been Tracy. All right, so let's take a look at basically, from the current price to this ad, let's take a look at support. We already looked at the resistance. Now let's take a look at support. So really, when I'm watching this later on, considering I have my resistance drawn out, I'm looking to see, how is the break on that resistance? Is it just a little tiny break, or did it, was momentum really picking up, volume picked up, and it really broke out with a nice full body candle, and that breaks out with a full nice body candle, then more likely that's a true breakout, and it might not be kind of a false breakout. Let me get to some of these comments, and then we'll definitely do the support. But I know I'm missing some of these comments. Yeah, Rossman. I think in a Ripple, under 15 cents is pretty good. I would definitely buy it. I mean, I have an order in for that 11.85. But 15 is not bad at all. And the reason why I put it to 11.85 is because I just wanted an even amount of coins, 10,000 coins. So that's why I put it to that level. Yeah, Post. Great seeing you on this live stream, man. Thank you so much for joining. And man, I got nothing but love and respect for you, brother. Yeah, I mean, you know, I see 76. I mean, if you bought Pivx and you didn't sell, when it's at the high and you had a pretty good amount of profit and it dips on you, yeah, sometimes I mean they end up being a long-term hold. And with Pivx, really, I mean, if I bought cheap and it had a nice parabolic move and I didn't lock in the profits and then it dipped back down on me again for some apparent reason, um, because I was thinking it would probably go up a lot higher, which I would never let my trade get to that point, of course. Um, but yeah, sometimes they end up turning it to be a long-term hold, and really you only lose when you sell. So right now you have unrealized loss, but once you sell it, then it becomes a realized loss. So I think definitely Pivots has a great future, but yeah, you could be holding it long term, to be honest with you. So depending on what price you bought it at, what the current price is, you might want to add a little bit more, to be honest with you, to kind of lower your cost average. It's definitely what you want to do. You want to lower your cost average as much as possible so that when it does have the nice uptick, the nice parabolic move, that you'll actually be in the profit a lot quicker than not adding on to your position. Joe Mama, welcome. Not sure what the message said, but Logan must not have liked it for him to delete it. So I mean, the one thing I ask is that you guys just show some respect to the people that are on this live stream. Show some respect to me. I always give everybody the utmost respect. So, for Logan to delete that message, it must have been something bad. And Logan's on top of it. So, but yeah, I didn't have a chance to read what it was. Bad ICO sold out. Did it? Yeah, a lot of these ICOs are selling out. I mean, people are just jumping on them and taking advantage as much as they can. Goodbye, Joe. Yeah, Logan, you have to tell me maybe on our Slack chat what his messages were, or maybe I can view the deleted messages, or maybe not. Let's see what Joe was saying. Those messages weren't too bad. What's my thought on BTS and SC? Ha ha ha! Laughing out loud. How much of the time are you right? And I'll answer that question for you, Joe. I don't think you're on here anymore. But for anybody else that's on here, he's asking how much of the time am I right, dude? I'm never correct. I am never correct, and I will never ever tell you guys that I'm 100% correct. No one is. None of the people that are providing analytical data, none of the traders, we are never 100% correct. But we look at probabilities, and what are the probabilities of this going up? And if that probability is higher, then yes, I'm going to get into a trade. But if the probability is not there for me, I'm not going to get into a trade. And that's why I look at support and resistance very, very close. If I buy at support, the probabilities of it hitting the first resistance is a lot higher than hitting the second resistance or third resistance. So I'll play those bounces, and I'll buy I'll buy the support, and sell a little bit at the first resistance. And if it goes higher, that's great. I can sell a little bit more at the second resistance. So man, I could be right 10% of the time, to be honest with you. But I play probabilities. What are the probabilities? And the higher the probabilities of my prediction working out, that's great. But I could be wrong. I could be completely off the wall. I mean, my bold prediction the other day was that this is just a little mini run up before the big dump. I could be completely wrong. Traders and analysts are not going to all have the same views, same opinions. One could be right, one could be wrong. I mean, who knows? But yeah, if a trader tells you he's always correct on making great calls, yeah, take that with a grain of salt, to be honest with you. Any thoughts on China's first crypto coin, YBC? Nah, I've not heard of China's first crypto coin, YBC. If anybody has the answer, please let them know. Yeah, Stephen. And just the probability was high, and that's why I basically predicted that crash to happen. And just like I kind of predicted that ETC, Ethereum Classic, was going to have a pump, was going to have a bigger of a run, and I mentioned that basically when I bought it, and that wasn't to get people to hop on that trade. That was just my prediction, and that's kind of what I saw, that the probabilities were a lot higher considering everything else was going up, and ETC was somewhat stagnant. I mean, yeah, it did go up from $2 to $4 to $8, but I knew that once it actually broke out above 8, it had the possibility to be at 10. And basically, I said, that there's no reason that ETC should be under $10. It should be at $10 or over. And that pump happened, and I hope that you guys made money off of it. Um, but yeah, but I could have been completely wrong. I really could have been completely wrong. Uh, but yeah, with the correction, and I've seen it many times in the stock market. Something goes up so high so quick. Mass media is covering things left and right. New traders are piling in. Yeah, it's a bubble. It's time to get out. It's time to lock in those profits. You're gonna have a correction, and we did. So I definitely look at probabilities. I try to analyze as much as I can. Now, if mass media wasn't covering the news, BTC, if volume wasn't increasing left and right, I would have probably said, yeah, it's still got ways to go. But for it to go from 2,000 to 2,800 so fast, so quick, it's going to have that turnaround. Um, and it just happened to do it at 2,800. I was expecting it to do it at 2,000. If it would have done it at 2,000, correct to 1,800, maybe 1,700, that would have been a nice healthy correction. And then yes, we could have had a nice move to the upside, hit 2,500, have a nice little correction again, healthy correction, then get back up to the 2,800, 3,000, have a correction again. But for it to really go straight up with no corrections and not having just a minor correction at all. I mean, there wasn't really that much of a correction. Yeah, it just threw a red flag, and I was like, this is definitely the pump before the dump. They're pumping it before they dump it. All right, I think I got to all the comments, and I do apologize if I miss any, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at the support now. We already looked at the resistance, so if you guys have any questions about the resistance that I put out there or that I plotted, please let me know. I'll definitely answer those for you. But all right, so support. Let me get out of this. So where do we see majority of the support happening? So basically, when I'm looking at that, I kind of see, where did it dip down to, and then where did it dip down to before bouncing back up? Now you got to be careful though. I mean, some of these wicks, I try not to draw the support line on the wicks, depending on where everything else was. But if I was to really look at this and to kind of determine where the support might be, if it does get to that price point, sometimes I don't even get to that support line. But we'll be able to plot out the first set of support, second set of support, and possibly third set of support. So let me take a look at the overall picture here. So 2259 possibly. It already touched that 2311 before coming back up just a little bit. put that 2250-ish. Actually, 23. 23 is going to be a very safe bet. So let's go ahead and draw a line out to 23. I think I put it up a little too high. So right about there, 23. And basically, I mean, if we're looking at this basically overall chart from going back to May 7th, we can see a couple of different points where, it basically touched it, maybe broke the low a little bit, but then came right back up. And that's the first point would be, if it allowed me to draw a circle at it, that's the first one there. Yeah, here it did break down below it, but it came right back up. And then here is definitely a much of a better sign. So these two here are much of a better sign that that is a very good support. Yes, here, they got to the support, selling intensified, and they brought it down. And as you can see, I mean, the wick on this candlestick broke below the $23 price point, but then came right back up above that $23 and kind of hovered over it. I mean, these are 2-hour charts, 2-hour candlesticks that we're looking at. So, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I mean, that's almost a day's worth of price action right here that had hovered above that 23. And then, of course, more selling happened. And this candlestick really broke it down. I mean, if there wasn't that much selling that was happening on this candlestick right here, it probably would have broke below that $30 price point for it to get down to 21.38. If there was just a little bit of selling, it would have still maintained that. But since the selling intensified, it really brought it down. But then, as you can see on the second candlestick, which is green, buyers brought it right back up to that $23 price point, and it stayed above the $23 price point. So that's going to be an area of support. And it did the same thing here. It came down to it, broke below support just a little bit with the wick, but then it closed right above that $23 price point. So that's going to be an area of support, as well as right here, where it went up to 20, let's just say $27, which would have been the resistance. And then it came down to the support and maintained that support at $23 and hovered above it. And it's still above that support line right now. Now, it could easily break that support line, easily do it if the selling intensifies. But as of right now, volume is still pretty low to where I don't think it's going to intensify. But if it does intensify, then where else is it going to come down to? Because if it does intensify, it's going to break below that $23 price point. So this $23 price point is not given. It's not set in stone that that's what it's going to touch and get back up. It all depends on volume. It all depends on supply and demand. It all depends on how many sellers are there versus how many buyers. So you really got to look at, when you plot out these support and resistance line, you really got to look at the order book and then look at the volume that's coming in. And is it more on the selling side than the buying side? And that's what the order book is going to really determine. So yeah, that could be a very good resistance. But if there's more selling than buying, then no, it's not. It's going to break right through it. But if it does break right through it, then what is really the second support line that we're looking at? And then second support would basically be at $20 and possibly getting close to that 1911 low that it has set. Not all-time low, but low that it has set ever since, what was that? Let's just see, May 3rd. So ever since May 3rd, that's really the low that it has set. So we'll see if it breaks down on that price point. But $20 is a pretty good support. So we'll draw a line right there at $20. And if it does break $20, then basically, shit's gonna hit the fan because it could really come down. And I mean, if volume intensifies, on that break of the support of $20, and like I said, I mean, there's just more selling that's going on. Panic sellers thinking, okay, you know what? I was in a profit. Now I'm down. I'm not going to let this go down any further. I'm going to go ahead and cover. But let's just say hypothetically she does break, that 1911 is definitely in sight. After the 1911, that's going to be your other resistance, and that's right around 17. Let's see, 1750-ish, somewhere in that range. And the reason why that's kind of very important is because a lot of times what they like to do is they like to make the prior resistance, the current support, and that's exactly what she did here. And I do apologize. I always refer to these cryptocurrencies as she for some apparent reason. I don't know. Um, but she did attempt on May 1st to break out above that 1950-ish, and it couldn't do it. It got rejected. So then what it ended up doing was basically a lot of times what they'll do is they'll make the prior resistant the current support, and you'll see that a lot. And if it does that, it's a good time to get in. But I think at $17.50, that's a great entry because really, Litecoin does have the ability to get up there with the up and down swings that it has. But let's just say hypothetically it breaks it, which I don't really see it breaking that unless volume intensifies and we have another crazy dump, which then it could definitely do it. Next area of resistance or support you're looking at is going to be right around the $15.10. I'm sorry, $16.10 to possibly $16, but we're just going to say it's even 16 bucks. All right, so we got our resistance, we got our support, and basically, what I'm going to do tonight is if I'm sitting in front of my computer is pay attention to the support and resistance that I plotted out and see exactly, what is it getting ready to hit? How is the volume? Is the volume intensifying? I'll be looking at the order book to see what kind of orders are coming in to determine whether, this is going to have more an upside or, it's going to break down a little further. And if it doesn't break down that far, and if let's just say, the price is currently where it's at late at night, before I go to bed, I will put in that order for, I'll probably put two orders in. One will be for the 1911 to see if we get a nice bounce from that. So I might put in an order for maybe 200 or 150 at that price point. And then I'll put in another order, maybe 100 or 150 at that 1751 range. I always try to do 1751 because a lot of times in the past when I would do 1750, it would hit 1751 and then bounce up. So always do maybe, a couple pennies above what you think that resistance is. And then you have a better chance of having that executed. All right, let me get to some of these comments because I know I did a lot of talking and I probably missed a lot of these. Duke, yes, sir. You are absolutely right, man. Nobody knows the price of crypto. But yeah, and exactly, and by joining these live streams, just really looking at the chart, analyzing it. I mean, don't be afraid of just kind of plot out charts and draw crazy lines on there. Really, that's the only way you're gonna get familiar with the chart, and that's how I learned, years ago. I just played around with it. I just stared at it and just stared at it, and basically, the longer you stare at it, the better that the story gets. It starts to really come to life to you, and I can stare at a chart and it comes to life. It's basically it's almost like it's talking to me. That's kind of the way I feel, even though of course it's not talking to me, but I can just look at this candlestick and look at the chart, the overall picture, and say, wow, this is great history that it's telling me. It's telling me a story, and I can read that story. But it takes time to get to that level to be able to look at a chart and just instantly be able to plot out where those support and resistance are without really having to plot them out, or for you to be able to basically tell the trend of it. But yeah, cryptocurrency is going to do what cryptocurrency does. It's either going to go up, it's going to go down, or it's going to go sideways. It's only going to do those three things, and that's based on volume, supply, and demand. So that's really what moves a cryptocurrency: supply and demand, and speculation as well too. Dave, welcome, buddy, and Logan, thank you for welcoming Dave. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm hoping a lot of people made money too. I really am, and they didn't get scared because Bitcoin wasn't moving up. For it to have really made that move, let's take a look at it a little better. And these are the same support and resistance that I drew out the other day, so nothing has really changed on it. But it definitely broke out above some of the resistance, and I did sell at those resistance. So I was able to lock in some profit. Yeah, I could have held on and locked in more, but like Duke said, nobody knows what they're going to do. You can only really, as a trader, play the support and resistance. If I wasn't a trader, I wouldn't care. I would buy and just let it sit, not even think about it. But when considering I'm a day trader, I look at that support and resistance, and I'll buy a support and I'll sell at resistance. I'm happy with the profit that I made, and I'll call it a day. I'll call it a night. Yeah, I try not to get too greedy. Greed is really what's going to eat away at your profit, or possibly eat away at your capital that you started out trading with. But yeah, Dave, people made money, people lost money. especially if somebody was shorting. I mean, just think about it. If somebody, I hope nobody shorted at 115, expecting it to drop to 80 or 60. And if they didn't cover, well, I'm sure they would have had it covered. The exchange would have definitely, liquidated their account at a certain price point. But yeah, anytime there's a lot of selling and dips that are going on, either somebody's making money and somebody's losing money. Kevin, welcome, sir. Yeah, I completely agree with your comment. Definitely can go more higher in the coming days, maybe the coming weeks. It definitely has that potential. And I mean, we covered it earlier, asking me what possibly the price it would reach by end of year. And really, there's no reason that it shouldn't be at $500. I mean, easily. I mean, with all these cryptocurrencies that are going 100%, I mean, what's to say that it can't go up 100%? If it goes up 100%, it's right at that price point at $500, and it should be at least a quarter of the value of BTC in the sense of price. Yeah, Dave. I did go over Ethereum, so definitely watch this video later on. Is that what it is? In about 1 hour, it'll be on the biggest exchange. So it's 11 a.m. where I'm at. So hopefully by 12 a.m. And that's actually when I'll be going to pick up my daughter from school. So if it happens then, I'll be missing the crazy move. So I don't know. I'll have to really analyze it right before I leave to see if it's gonna break the 250 that I'm looking at. Because I'm looking to get rid of a little more at 250, but I might end up changing that. But right now, I mean, really, the sky's the limit. It really, I can't. If somebody says, what is the resistance for Ethereum? I couldn't tell you what the resistance is. There is no resistance at this current price point. So really, the only way for me to determine how this thing is going to move is just basically on the momentum, on the volume that's coming in, and is there more buying on that volume than selling? That's really the only way for me to determine once this really starts hitting all-time highs, and that's exactly what it's doing. I mean, it's only $4, $4.50 off its all-time high, and it can get there real quick. But yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye out at 12 o'clock to see, what type of changes we have. But, for it to have this crazy upward move, ever since the 27th, over 100% really, that's very impressive. And there's a lot of speculation that it is going to go a lot higher, or people really wouldn't be buying this, to be honest with you. It would be, it would have gone up a little bit, but it wouldn't have gone up 100% and started hitting all-time highs as Bitcoin is kind of, staying a little bit somewhat stagnant at the, 2250 range. On XRP, yeah, I mean, I can cover that. That's not a problem at all. Let me just get to some of these comments. Yeah, Dave, 16% profit, dude, be happy with it. I mean, I locked in the profit as well too. I bought at 177. I bought 50 of them, and I just started selling in increments. Increments of 10. I sold at 185, sold at 200, sold at 217. Yeah, I mean, people probably look at this and be like, well, he should have held on, and he could have sold at 230. No one knows. No one knows the price is going to go up to. So I'm happy locking in those profits. It's okay to leave money on the table. You just don't want to risk the capital by not taking those profits. But yeah, dude, that's perfect. That is perfect. 16% profit is awesome. Yeah, 300. I mean, that seems like somewhat a psychological level where traders will kind of look at that and say, okay, you know what, at 300, I'll take a profit. I got a net, whatever, 150, 200. Yeah, 300 could be a very good psychological level where it'll pull back. I'm expecting to really hit 250 and kind of have a nice pullback, unless volume really intensifies on the positive side where there's more buying than selling that's going on. Then yes, it could definitely, get that 250, break the 250 easily. And really, it's only 25, 50 cents, $50 off if it hits 250 to get to that $300 price point. And I think I did have a sell in the book for like 299.99. Let me take a look at it. Actually, I got the 250 in there. I did cancel. I had one in there for 299.99. But if it breaks 300 and keeps going, and starts really gaining momentum, yeah, I think at that price point when it starts going parabolic, I'm gonna have to take my profits and sit on the sideline and kind of wait. I don't think I can stomach the crazy violent dip if it does decide to dip. Kevin, that's awesome, man. You're new here, so definitely welcome. You just started trading, day trading. That's perfect, man. Just start small. That's the best advice I could give anybody. Just trade very small until you learn just the basic fundamentals. Is there a delay on this? I would hope not. There might be like maybe a 2-minute delay, but that's about it. Ripple looks like it's making a move. Well, we'll see. We'll cover it. So Dave, I'll go ahead and cover Ripple for you, bud. And I am looking to take a position in Ripple, but I'm waiting for that, 11 cents for it to dip below 20, or actually for it to dip below 15. But let's go ahead and take a look at Ripple. But yeah, I have not traded Ripple yet. I have not taken a position at all, and I was really waiting for this, for this to dip a little more than having it dip to 14.5 cents. I was really looking forward to that 11 cents, 10 cents. If it gets close to that range, then yeah, I would be taking a position. But as of right now, I'm going to keep it on the back burner. I do have an open order in for 10,000 Ripple coins at 11.855 cents. But we'll see what she does. But RSI is at 49 right now. And actually, you know what? Talking about RSI, so when the other day when I talked about that this is the pump before the dump, one of the things I really looked at heavily on different time frames, especially on a larger time frame, was the RSI. And the RSI, for some of you might not know, it stands for the Relative Strength Index. It tells you basically the strength of that movement. And when RSI is above 70, it's considered overbought. If it's below 30, it's considered oversold. So I did change the RSI a little bit to indicate, because depending on the cryptocurrency, after really analyzing them, 30 was not oversold. 25 was oversold, and I kind of moved RSI down to 25, and then saw that 80 was really overbought and not 70. Because really, if it gets up to 80, you definitely want to be taking some profit off the table. It is oversold. So really, as all the cryptocurrencies, or Bitcoin and everything else was just going up and going parabolic and going to the moon, I looked at the 1-day chart and I was like, RSI is at 92. I'm like, that's huge. So hit 92, started getting to 93. And that's why, I said, this is basically, the pump before the dump. It's going to happen because of RSI was just so high. And you definitely got to, as a trader, you definitely got to look at that RSI. Yeah, there's so many different indicators you guys can look at. I mean, there's hundreds of them. But I wouldn't overwhelm, I don't want to overwhelm myself with tons of indicators. And that's what I did when I first started trading in the stock market. I had tons of indicators on there. I mean, I couldn't even see the candlesticks. It was crazy. Excuse me. So I really pay attention to the RSI, the volume, the candlesticks, and sometimes I'll throw on there, the exponential moving average or the simple moving average. But I don't use Fibonacci retracement. I like to plot out my own support and resistance. I've had issues with Fibonacci and some of the indicators. It just kind of clouds my judgment. But when I made that prediction that this was the pump before the dump, and that dump is going to happen, and that's because RSI was just so high at that time, and it got too high. Let me see if I can actually, if it'll indicate it on this, especially on BTC, on Bitfinex. And then we'll take a look at Ripple after that. I did promise we'll take a look at Ripple before this live stream ends. So all right, so here's a perfect example. Let me see if I can zoom in. This is on Bitfinex. Bitfinex BTC got up to a high of 2,689 bucks. That was a high. But prior to that, right here, I mean, let's look at the RSI. The RSI here on the 3-hour candlestick was almost 85. That's way too high. That's completely overbought, and it's going to have that downtrend. And what do you know, it did, and RSI kind of dipped low here. So usually, when I'm looking for an entry, I'm also looking at the support and resistance, but I'm looking at RSI because RSI will indicate that if something's overbought or oversold. Now, it's not 100% correct. It could definitely be. I've seen sometimes, especially right here. If we really look at when it hit right up here, I would say, so the RSI on this was about 80. I mean, if I would have followed that and sold at 80, you would have missed out on this huge pump. So you really can't look at it and say, okay, it's 100%, it's guaranteed. Nothing's 100% on these indicators. They only kind of give you an overall view. So you got to look at a bunch of other things to come up with an educated guess of, okay, you know what, RSI is indicating oversold. but volume is coming up more on the buying side than the selling side. So if anybody really followed the RSI here and got out at 80, um, more than likely they missed out on a bigger rise, going from 2,000 to almost 2,700, 700 bucks. But as we came down, then RSI started to dip, and RSI really dipped to looks like 28, almost 29, and now it's right around the happy medium. Right around the 45, 50 is not bad. So we'll see exactly what RSI does, and in the sense of RSI as well too. If you guys see that RSI is going down, but the price is going up, be ready for a crash. Because RSI should not be going down as the price is moving up. They should really follow each other. They should be very in sync. As the price goes up, RSI should be going up. As the price drops, RSI should be dropping, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. But sometimes you do see the complete opposite of where the price is still going up, but RSI is going down, and that should throw a huge red flag, meaning that there's going to be a major correction that's going to happen. So RSI is very, very important to take a look at. But sorry about that. So let's go back to Ripple. And I do have about 15 more minutes on this, so we'll cover Ripple. I'll try to answer some of the questions, but I highly recommend you guys, clicking on our signing up for our mailing list, because we will give you access to our general chat room. It's just a general room, a community where you guys can continue this conversation after the live stream ends. And that community on the general chat room is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I will do my best today to spend at least minimum of an hour on that chat room. So if you guys are already part of the general chat room or the water cooler chat room, I will be on there today to chat with you guys or ladies. All right, Ripple. And the problem with Ripple is I don't really have much of a data, because it was just listed on Bitfinex, and I didn't get the email or anything notification indicating that it was available on Ripple until it became available, and I was like, whoa, what's Ripple doing here? And what do you know? It had dropped to 25 cents. And I was like, oh, man, that would have been a great buying opportunity at 25 cents. And 25 cents was really the resistance that it had. I'm sorry, the support that it had. There were numerous times here it hit 25, bounced back up. Here it came down to exactly 25, bounced back up. And here really, yes, we had a candlestick that dropped below the 25 to get to 22,899. But majority of the candlesticks hovered right above that 25, where they really started to consolidate, which kind of showed a good support. And then, of course, had a little minor dip, but got right back up to that almost 32 cents. So if you got it 25 to 32, that's 7 cents per coin, depending on how many coins you have. That's a pretty significant gain in profit there if you were to capitalize off of it. And then, of course, when BTC started dumping, Ethereum started dumping, everything, Ethereum Classic started dumping. We had that crazy downward move, got to that low of 1450, and that's really when I was looking at getting in at that 11-cent range if it got to that price point, but of course it didn't. And as we can look with the volume, sellers really brought this thing down, and volume really gotten better. Let's see what the volume was. Looks like 2.856 million in volume on this candlestick here. So really, sellers brought it down pretty good to that 14 cent. As we can see, the wick is pretty low, and then buyers brought it right back up to form a hammer, and that's basically a hammer. That's basically what it is, with a little wick at the top. So sellers really brought it down to the bottom. Buyers supported it, brought it right back up. So really, right now, that's a good indicator of where support is going to be, right around that 14-cent range. I'm still waiting for that 11.5-cent range, because I'm being greedy, to be honest with you. I'm being greedy on my buy. There's nothing wrong with being greedy on your buys. Just don't be greedy on your profits. That's one thing I would recommend. So when you put in a lowball offer, you're basically putting in a greedy offer. And there's nothing wrong with being greedy when you're looking to buy, especially when you put in that offer before you go to bed. So that's why I have that 11.8 cents in there. But I might add to it. We'll see. If I end up selling a little bit more of my Ethereum Classic position, I'll probably end up, adding that on to Ripple to try to get an entry. But yeah, if you can get an entry at that 14-cent range, there's no reason that it shouldn't hit that 25. And that 25 might be a resistance for it, because what it likes to do is it likes to make current support or prior support the new resistance, and vice versa as well too. But that all depends on how much the volume coming in, where RSI is. There's really a bunch of indicators that you got to look at, but I am basically waiting for that, for it to make a new all-time low, and I think she can. If selling really intensifies, she can. But overall, I think she has a great future, especially with banks being involved. Even though a lot of people are really against Ripple and involvements that bank are in, and because it's going to become more decentralized. I'm sorry, it's going to become more centralized than decentralized. But for me, really, I can care less. I mean, as long as it has that, that backing by banks, and banks are greedy, and I've said it before. Banks are they're gonna want to pump it, and they're gonna want to pump it to the moon. And could it get to a dollar? Yeah, it could. But first of all, it's got to break some levels, and it's got to really right now break the 25 cent level, which was basically the prior support. It's got to break above that and not really form that as a new resistance. And then once it does break it, 32 cents, it's got to break over that. 35 cents is going to be a resistance. And really after that, 37 cents, 40 cents, as long as it gets above that 42, I think it was 42 and a half, it definitely has the ability to get to that dollar or close to that dollar. More likely to probably get to like 98 cents or 99.99 cents before having a major correction. Because if anybody's getting in at the 20-cent range, I mean, that's a 500% profit if it does get up to that dollar range. And I think she can. I don't think she'll do it anytime soon. But over time, I think it will. Until they really start releasing some of the coins that they locked up, then we could see a crazy dip. All right, I got about 10 minutes. Let me get to some of these comments. Not too many comments. Ed V, good luck buying into a huge bubble. You got to, as a trader, I mean, I'm not an investor. If I was an investor, yeah, dude, yeah, yeah. Everybody would be wishing me luck buying into a bubble. But I'm not a long-term investor. I'm a trader. So either, I'm going to trade, day by day, or I'm going to hold it for a couple of days, depending on price movement. But yeah, for long-term investors, I would definitely caution them because we really are still in a bubble. And I've said that before. I've said it in my previous videos. Bubbles just don't last, a day and a half, 2 days. Because that's really what the sell-off was. It was for basically less than 2 days of a sell-off, and bubbles do not last 2 days. They'll last a little longer than that. So, we are still in a bubble, and I've said that. And my prior video was that this is just a mini run before the big dump, for a bigger dump to happen. But thanks for wishing me luck, man. I appreciate it. You know, it all depends. I mean, if you're a long-term investor, you should really know what Ethereum does. Day traders, we can care less, man. I mean, you can talk to anybody that trades the stock market, and that's a day trader. They can care less about, um, they can care less about what the company does. I mean, the company could really, I mean, they can sell a dog bag with poop. As long as it's got life, as long as it's got momentum, as long as it's got volatility, up and down movements, I'll trade it. I can care less what the company does. It could be a scam. I mean, there's people that are saying that Ethereum is a scam. It could be a scam. I'm not going to say it's a scam because I don't have the facts. It could be a scam, but you know what? I can care less that it's a scam. It's got the up and down movements that I'm looking for, and that's all that I look for. But it's definitely a good advice. For long-term investors, I would definitely be careful with the bubble. But yeah, I think a lot of people that are buying in cryptocurrencies, including myself, I'll be honest with you guys, including myself, I don't know the ins and outs behind some of these cryptocurrencies, but if I was a long-term investor and I was looking to invest long-term, then yes, I would definitely be looking at that heavily and be looking at the technical and fundamental aspect of it, the text behind it, the development team behind it. Does it have the ability to have, worldwide adoption? I would definitely be looking at that, but I'm not a long-term investor, so those things really don't mean much to me. I mean, I've had tons of people asking me, to read the white paper on a specific cryptocurrency. It's like, as a trader, I would be wasting my time reading that. Now, if I was an investor, yes, I definitely want to read it. But as a trader, I mean, there's nothing that's going to be bad on that white paper. Everything's going to be positive news. It's going to be biased. So, I mean, it would cloud my judgment. So I have not read one single white paper yet. See what you're saying, Edv. If you're a trader, then no problem. If you know what you're doing, bro, just don't get caught in a margin position on Poloniex while it has lagged and you can't close position. Yeah, I don't mess with Poloniex. I don't mess with it. And I mean, you could probably watch a lot of my live streams. Now I have bought stuff on Poloniex, but I didn't buy it for myself. I bought it for my son. So he's got some Doji coin on there, but that's something that I bought for him because he wanted it, and it's probably going to sit there. I'm just going to hold it long term. I think I have a very high sell limit on there. But yeah, I'm very careful with margin. And anything in moderation is okay, but I would never use margin on Poloniex. I would never use margin on Bittrex. I do use margin on GDAX, and I would love to use margin on Bitfinex, but they just do not allow me to. They shot me down basically and said, nope, you live in the US, you do not have access to margin. But no, I mean, anything is okay in moderation. And you really just, I mean, if you're playing with margin, you are playing with fire. You just got to be very careful. I would not use margin on any pump and dump crazy, crap coins that are out there. But I will utilize margin on, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic. Actually Ethereum Classic I can't because I don't have margin access to that. But especially on BTC, LTC, and Ethereum, yeah, I utilize margin. Like on LTC, I only probably use 500 in margin. But on Ethereum and Litecoin, I mean, I've maxed out the margin. I've taken advantage of it, and it's definitely paid off heavily. But yeah, this isn't, I'm not, this isn't something new that I'm doing. I've been trading for a very long time. I've traded on margin, trading the traditional financial market. But yeah, thank you for writing that though, because a lot of traders do get caught in margin, and it hurts them in the long run. I appreciate that, Ed. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I always advise. I mean, if you watch any of my previous videos, I always tell people stay away from margin. Be very careful of margin, especially if you're a new trader coming into this. Do not touch margin at all. It's almost like drinking water out of a fire hydrant. You'll end up drowning yourself if you're not careful. How difficult is it to double, triple only 2K with trading, and how long can it take? Dude, it can take a while. I don't know your trading style or how long you've been trading for, but do not get into the market thinking you can double, triple, quadruple your money. Do not do it. It's like going to a casino and saying, "I'm gonna win. I'm gonna walk home with $10,000, $50,000." No, dude, the house is there to take your money. And same thing with the stock, with the market. There's a lot of manipulation that goes on. So if you're not careful, you could definitely lose it all. And I've heard of traders losing all their money. And then they're completely out of the game. So is it doable? Yes, it's doable, but you got to take baby steps to get to that level. You can't expect to do it in one day. That's kind of my honest opinion. Yeah, it's doable. I mean, I started trading cryptocurrency. I mean, you guys can go back and watch my first live stream, and I mean, there's definitely transparency where I show you guys how much money I have in my account. Like I don't hide anything at all. I mean, you can Google my name and be able to find a picture of me. So my name is out there, especially on GDAX. When I'm using GDAX, it's on the top right hand corner. But I started the trading with $8,000. It was like $8,033 is what you're going to see on the first live stream, and I've kind of worked that up to about 16,000, and that's ever since March 13th, I think it was. So in about 2 months, I did double my money, but I wasn't going to do it overnight. But I also did utilize margin. The one time I took 2,600 bucks that I basically had, added more to it by utilizing margin, and basically made 1,600 bucks because I had basically almost $5,000 in total capital that I could have used with the capital that I had in the margin. Now, if I would have only used the 2,600 and didn't utilize margin, the $1,600 profit would have probably been $500 or $600 profit. But since I utilized margin, I was basically able to gain 50% of my capital because I had 2,600 bucks. I made 1,600 bucks, so close to 50% there. But yeah, it's doable. It takes time, baby steps. You got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere small, not taking bigger position, not taking bigger risk. And over time, yes, you can definitely double that money. You can. But don't look at the dollar amount. Look at the percentage that you're gaining. And that's going to give you a better indicator. But I'll try to get to these comments real quick. I do have just a couple more minutes. I wish I could stay on and continue to do this live stream. But if you are part of our general chat room, I'd be happy to chat with you guys there. But a lot of the technical and fundamental analysis that happens is an actual traders room. But I will spend a little bit of time in that general chat room just to be able to chat with you guys and get to know you a little better, and you guys get to know me a little better as well too. Yeah, it can be hard to day trade the market, Jonathan. It definitely can. Nothing is easy. Nothing is easy. But if you follow a set rules that you've set for yourself and you try not to break those rules, you can do very well. Now, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we're all human beings. We all break our rules. broken my rules many, many times. And when I break my rules is when I lose money, and when I stick to my rules is kind of when I make money. So I'm happy with my profits. The other day, my wife was like, "Why did you sell at 185? You could have sold at 200 or 300." And I said to her, I said, I didn't know it was going to get up to that price point. I knew the first resistance was what 185. I wanted to lock in some profit. And then I sold more at 200 and then sold more at 217. But she's just looking at it like, whoa, it went up this high. Like you could have sold, 20 or 30 coins at the high price and not sold them at 185, 200, and 217. But she doesn't really understand that I have no clue which way the market is going to move. I can only play the support and resistance. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to stick to my plan. Like I said, when I stick to my plan, I make money. When I don't stick to my plan, I could lose money. But yeah, if I would have broken my rule on Ethereum and not sold, yes, I could have made more money, definitely. But that's just kind of hard to say, hard to judge. Duke's asking, how about lending Poloniex? My Ethereum bearing 0.002% per 2 days, collecting interest. Is this a good idea? Oh man, I don't like lending my coins out at all, to be honest with you. 0.002%. I mean, that's really nothing, to be honest with you. Now, if you're getting, a higher percentage, yes, but it's kind of hard. I mean, with 0.002, that's not much at all. What's the difference between Coinbase versus GDAX? So, I mean, it's the same company. So, Coinbase owns GDAX. GDAX is Coinbase's trading platform. Um, I would never buy on Coinbase because really you're going to pay a premium, and plus you're going to pay more of a commission. So GDAX Coinbase is basically for the people that aren't familiar with an exchange and how an exchange works. So when you use Coinbase, you're actually buying them from Coinbase. So that's why they mark up the price because those coins are coming out of Coinbase's inventory. GDAX is a platform where you're going to basically trade, exchange with other investors, other traders, and as long as you set a limit buy order or a limit sell order, you don't pay the commission. Um, but really, there isn't much of a difference. I mean, it's the same company. But yeah, if you're trading, definitely use GDAX. Do not use Coinbase at all, unless you want to pay 30, 50, maybe $60 more for Bitcoin and pay commission on top of that. Now, Duke, are you lending them out on Poloniex, BTS, and Ethereum, and oh yeah, you just say it with Polo. Yeah, I would be careful. There's nothing wrong with lending it out, but just make sure it's beneficial for you. And then the other question is, I mean, are you able to pull the money, out if you need to? Are you able to sell, whatever it is that you're lending out? Because if there's a grace period that it has to stay in there for and price tanks and you're looking to get out, then yeah, it might not be a good idea. But yeah, I'll have to research their lending to see exactly how that works. Let's see if I can get to a couple more questions, and then I do have to end this live stream. Yeah, keeping your coins on an exchange is risky, Ed. I highly agree with you on that one. Very risky. I mean, I was nervous the other day, and I'm like, why do I have $13,000 sitting on Bitfinex? I'm like, this is not safe at all. I'm like, I need to spread this out. Dylan, welcome, buddy. And yeah, for you guys who don't know Dylan, I did mention Dylan earlier. He is my business partner in CryptoTrader's room, as well as ECS and Henry. But he's also the moderator too. I don't know about Bitstamp. I haven't really researched them to see if they are good. I would assume they're somewhat reputable, but I would be very leery with any exchange. Doesn't matter what the exchange is. I think really the only two exchanges I really trust are really Coinbase and or GDAX and Gemini. I believe that they've spent millions of dollars on their infrastructure and the security, that I'm somewhat safe. And I'm saying somewhat because it's not 100% safe. I'm just somewhat safe. I think I'm a lot safer on Gemini and GDAX than I would be on Poloniex or Bittrex or even Bitfinex. Martinez, welcome. Yeah, I would still be leery of Bittrex, to be honest with you. Which exchange is best for day trading? Fees wise, really GDAX. I would highly recommend GDAX, and there are links at the bottom of this video for Bitfinex as well as to sign up for Coinbase. And if you click on the link for Coinbase and basically sign up for that account and buy or sell $100 worth of Bitcoins, then they will actually give you $10 in free Bitcoin. And that also support Crypto Traders Room by giving Crypto Traders Room $10 in BTC as well too. So if you guys are looking at opening an account, I do have two links at the bottom of this video. One's a referral code for Bitfinex, and then the other one's a referral code for Coinbase, which is GDAX. So as long as you set up a Coinbase account, you will have access to GDAX. And then I also have an affiliate. Well, we have an affiliate link for Amazon. So if you're buying anything off Amazon, it doesn't really matter what it is. It would definitely help us out if you actually use that link. You don't pay anything extra by using that link. It just basically helps us out because we're considered an affiliate. Matt, thank you so much for notifying him. Yeah, if you guys found this helpful, please click that thumbs up. And I think we were at 801 subscribers this morning when I looked at it. So I definitely want to thank everybody that's clicked on that subscribe button, clicked on the post notification, liked this video, shared our videos. So please feel free to share this with anybody that's looking at getting into cryptocurrency trading, or just want to get some helpful information about some of the trades and whatnot. Please feel free to share this. The more people we have on here, the better. I mean, 47 viewers. I think that's a record for me. And I didn't look at it earlier to see how many people were watching, but 47 is definitely impressive. I'm very humble. I mean, when I first started the live stream, I told everybody, I'm like, I'll keep doing these as long as I have one person that's watching. I'll keep doing them. But yeah, 47 it's impressive, and I'm thankful that you guys are joining. Can Ethereum Classic go to 100 by year end? Yeah, that's too optimistic, buddy. I don't think it'll get to 100. It's kind of unrealistic, to be honest with you. I mean, it's $15 right now. Now, if it was sitting at 30, 40, 50, yeah, the probability is a lot higher. But I think the probabilities for it to getting up to 100 right now are very slim. So don't buy it thinking it's going to go up to 100. Because yeah, I don't think it will. Now, $20, yeah, it should definitely be at 20. Right now, it should definitely be at $20, considering Ethereum is at $200. Trader Zone, welcome, buddy. Not necessarily. Yeah, when you click on margin, they do make you answer those questions. But yeah, I just picked the first one, and they'll give you access to margin. So it's not really people with millions of dollars. I don't have millions of dollars. If I did, I wouldn't be trading. I'd be running a robo algorithm to trade for me, or I would have a licensed investor to be able to invest for me. But yeah, you can definitely activate margin, but you just got to be careful. You got to be careful. I don't recommend utilizing margin if you're new to trading. Stay away from it because it'll eat you up. G Ready 18, welcome. Unfortunately, you're joining as I'm about to end the live stream, but definitely welcome, and hope to see you on Friday. That's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays when I do these live streams. And ERCR is not a problem, man. Thank you. I'm glad you find this information to be great. So let's see, Fiddy, welcome. So you're asking just use GDAX instead of Coinbase to avoid markup? Yeah, to avoid markup and to avoid the commission, especially if you're using limit buy and limit sell, you're gonna avoid the commission on GDAX. Ethereum Classic had someone steal a bunch of coins, so they started Ethereum without the person that stole them. Yeah, and one scary thing about Ethereum Classic is whoever stole those coins, when they're ready to dump them on exchange, it's going to basically flood that exchange with an overabundant supply of Ethereum Classic, and that could cause a price to drop. Yes, Ethereum Classic is the original chain, and my speculation is that whatever Ethereum is doing, Ethereum Classic can do. because it is the original chain. Um, so that's why I think there's definitely more upside to Ethereum Classic. Let me try to get to these comments, and then I'm gonna have to end this video. I don't know if 3 times the amount is the best margin rate available, but you don't want to utilize 3 times that amount. You definitely want to be careful. Yeah, just like I said, anything in moderation is okay. So I mean, margin can be deadly, but if as long as you use it in moderation, there's nothing wrong with it. But you could definitely lose a lot more when you're betting on margin. What do I think of Dash? I don't know. I mean, Zcash overtook Dash, and I didn't think that would happen at all. But we'll see as time goes on what Dash is going to do. Yeah, Jonathan, completely. I mean, especially if you're a long-term investor, understanding the news and what is going on, looking at the development team, looking at the projects that they're working on, just really digging in and doing as much research as you can if you're a long-term investor. 8 years experience in trading the stock market, that's perfect. That's where I came from. And margin can be great. Yes, that's a magic word. Can be great, but it could also be deadly if you're not careful with it. Like I said, anything in moderation is okay. But it can kill a newbie. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody that's new, don't even activate margin on GDAX. Don't even play with it until you get better at trading, and then you can start utilizing it in moderation. But I do have to end this live stream, and I apologize. I mean, if I could do this live stream 24/7, I would definitely do it. But I want to thank everybody for joining this live stream. Thank you guys for chatting. Thank you for liking the video. If you've subscribed, thank you so much. If you're a current subscriber, I appreciate it. And like I said, I mean, if you haven't done so already, sign up for our mailing list. There is a link to our website at the bottom of this video. And once you sign up to our mailing list, we'll send you out an invitation to our general chat room. Now remember, it's just a general chat room to give a bunch of people that are into cryptocurrencies a place to hang out, to continue this conversation to go on after the live stream ends. But it's not the actual traders chat room where we're really sharing some great information on technical fundamental analysis and some of the things that are really going on in cryptocurrency. So if you're currently a member of our general chat room, I will be on there today to chat with you, to get to know you a little better, and answer some basic questions for you and whatnot. And if you haven't done so already, like I said, please sign up for our mailing list, and we'll send out that information on how to sign up, or send out that invitation on how to get access to our general chat room. And definitely, I mean, I highly recommend keeping this conversation going. And that's the best thing to do, to try to build a larger community where we're collectively sharing information. And the larger the community gets, the more information that we're able to share, the stronger that we'll be. So knowledge is power, and we definitely want to empower ourselves to as much information as we can. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. And I will probably, if you're, like I said, if you're part of our general chat room, I will be on that general chat room at 12 o'clock. So it's 11:42 a.m. for me right now. So in about 15, 18 minutes, I will be on that general chat room. So if you join that, that's great. I will chat with you on there. Until next time, next Friday is when I'll do this live stream, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time zone, so 11:30 Eastern time zone. So thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe with your trades, and know when to lock in the profits, and know when to basically get an entry in. Until next time, this is Crypto Traders and Crypto Traders Room. Thank you so much for joining.